I calculated how many League of Legends games could possibly exist. You see, during the champion select phase, each player is able to pick what champion they are playing, what runes they are using, and their summoner spells. So with 10 players all customizing their options, I wondered how many different games could possibly exist. And this is our competition, a deck of cards. Every time a deck of cards is shuffled, a unique card order is created. Although it may seem small, a deck of just 52 cards has 80 unvigintillion different possible orders. So I was thinking, which has more possible combinations? A League of Legends game or a deck of cards? And what I've discovered will actually blow your mind. Before we see how many full League of Legends games are truly possible, let's start smaller and look at every possible combination in just one lane. To keep the results realistic for now, I wanted all the champions, runes, and summoner spells to be actually viable in the meta. To see what champions are viable in the top lane, I looked at the top lane champions that had been played in at least 1,000 games in Master Plus. This took the full roster of 170 champions and shrunk it down to just 57. If we then simulate every single possible champion matchup, we get a total of 3,192 champion combinations in the top lane. Now this isn't quite as big as the deck of cards combinations, but remember, this is just the beginning. After picking your champion, the next piece of customization is a player's rune page. The League of Legends rune system allows players to pick 9 options out of 27 different runes per page. These rune choices allow you to customize how your champion plays, making them do more damage, be tankier, or even giving you extra resources. However, I don't think the Arcane Comet Camille meta will start anytime soon. So to keep this realistic, I decided that each champion will be restricted to the 3 suggested rune pages that Riot provides. This means that every champion a player locks in has 3 more variations. Repeating these variations for all 57 champions and rune combinations gives us a total of 28,728 different champion and rune matchups in the top lane. Players are then able to select between 9 different summoner spells, with one summoner spell Smite being exclusive to the jungle role. But again, we don't often see top laners taking heal and barrier. Most players in League pick the strongest summoner spell of Flash every single game, and then have 2 more options for their second summoner spell depending on what they're playing. So for top lane, it makes sense to give these champions the choice between either teleport or ignite. These 2 more variations are added on top of the previous variations, meaning that if we bring all these combinations together, it gives us 114,912 different champion, rune, and summoner spell matchups that are viable in the top lane right now. To visualize how big this number really is, if you wanted to play through all these combinations in 25-minute League games, it would take you 47,880 hours, or 5.4 years of straight League of Legends. Now remember, this is just one lane out of 5. League of Legends is a 5v5 game, so every time you add a new lane to the equation, the amount of different games increases exponentially. Using the previously mentioned restrictions of 1,000 games, 3 viable rune pages, and 2 summoner spell choices, these are the total number of lane combinations for each of the 5 roles. ADC and support are the only duo lane in the game, so if we look at bot lane together, we can get a good depiction of just how fast the possible matchups increase. ADC has 35,712 combinations, and support has 61,992. Looking at the different matchups that are possible in the bot lane together, these numbers absolutely soar, resulting in a massive 2,213,858,304 different combinations that are possible in just the bot lane. And this is just the conservative estimate, with no off-meta champions, only 3 rune pages, and 2 summoner spell choices. It's crazy to think what bot lane combinations have never been played together, and what synergies are left completely undiscovered. But to get the full picture of the 5v5 format, it's finally time that we combine all of the 5 roles together, bringing the grand total of possible games in the meta right now to an absolutely insane 2 septillion different game combinations. Assuming that each of these games takes 25 minutes to end, it would take you 101 quintillion years to play every single one. To put that into perspective, the known universe has only existed for 13.8 billion years. Now remember, these are just the conservative estimates, assuming that each role only plays viable champions, chooses between the 3 suggested rune pages and 2 summoner spells. If we want to beat the possible orders of a deck of cards and find out how many League of Legends games are truly possible, it's time to take the restrictions off and open up every single champion, rune, and summoner spell option to every single role in the game. I spent time calculating all the possible rune combinations and came to a crazy realization. As a player right now, like you, literally you watching this video, can go into the rune page editor and create 393,660 different unique rune pages. If we then allow every player in the lobby to do this, the total number of possible games with different rune pages becomes an absolutely ridiculous 89 septendecillion different games. Although we aren't quite there yet, we are getting really close to beating that deck of cards number from the start of the video. No restrictions also means no restrictions on champions, allowing all 170 champions to play in any role they want, meaning that Yuumi Jungle is allowed. Calculating all the possible champion combinations in all of the lanes creates an absolutely mind-boggling 15 sextillion different games. This simple fact is just wild. To know there are that many possible games just based on champion combinations alone. It makes me wonder how many champion combinations have really never been played before, and how many games may never be played in League of Legends history. If we then take this total number of champion combinations and multiply it by the total number of rune combinations, we get 1 quinvigintillion different possible games. And finally, this is where we beat the deck of cards, allowing every player in the lobby to play any champion they want and use any rune page they want. And this number is just too big to even comprehend, but we still aren't done. There is one more piece of customization that's left. Each player also has no restrictions on what summoner spells they can take, allowing each player to choose 2 different summoner spells from the pool of 9, meaning that each player has 72 different possible summoner spell combinations, resulting in 3 quintillion different games. If this number of summoner spell combinations is multiplied into the previous champion combinations and rune combinations, we will finally answer the question of how many League of Legends games are possible, with the grand total being a mind-blowing 5 untrigentillion different League of Legends games, completely destroying the deck of cards. This number actually starts to come close to how many possible chess positions exist in a 30-move game of chess, and I'm sure if we added all the possible item combinations, we would beat that as well. But all of these different games we have covered are before the League of Legends game even begins. All of these games could then have different builds, different decisions, and different micro-executions. And this is really the secret sauce of League. All of these possibilities make it feel like every time you load into a game, it's always different. This is why players from Season 1 can play today and the game still feels fresh. It is simply impossible to have played every single League of Legends game that could exist. These possibilities are even more emphasized with the League of Legends patch cycle occurring every 2 weeks, meaning that every 2 weeks, some champions or items will be different, bringing even more variability to the game. This is why players just never get bored, as with all these possibilities, it always feels like there's something to discover. Picking up a new champion or role, or even just changing your rune page gives a whole new perspective to all these possible games. This is why we often see random builds and trends pop up out of nowhere, as players continue to discover what is possible in the game. This is also why people say if you want to climb, simply one trick, as it decreases variability from game to game. This seemingly infinite number of games also brings higher praise to the players at the top of the leaderboard, as they are capable of finding the patterns and trends within the ridiculous number of possible games. And this is why I love League of Legends, because no matter what I play or have played previously, it always feels like there's something to discover. Subscribe for more interesting League of Legends content.